1 million rabbits in Samar, shocking the world a year later. Welcome to the latest issue of Top Secret. 1 million rabbits confront Samar Kubushi. This effortless battle will write the most unbelievable story in history. This is how China greened the dead land. So will this plan succeed or fail? The concerns of the people in the Samark region. In the arid Samark regions, life is always a harsh challenge. Prolonged drought makes farming and livestock raising extremely difficult, even affecting human survival. The income of people in these areas is often precarious and unstable. However, in the vast Samar Kubushi within Inner Mongolia autonomous region, China has a place called Apanir that is completely different. Here, people not only survive but also become wealthy through a unique livestock model, raising rabbits. Millions of rabbits have brought huge income to local residents, turning this barren land into a prosperous area. The story of China releasing rabbits into Samar and changing it forever is not as simple as many think. To better understand this fascinating story, we need to explore the relentless efforts of the Chinese people and government in transforming Samar. The vast Samar Kubushi, spanning over 186,000 square kilometers, is China's 7th largest Samar. In winter, this place is engulfed in freezing cold. Despite the harsh weather, workers tirelessly work, reinforcing protective structures with straw arranged in a grid pattern on the Samark surface. These structures play a crucial role in protecting sand dunes, preventing wind erosion, and retaining soil moisture. Repairs and reinforcements must be done in winter to ensure they function effectively when spring winds arrive. Efforts to transform Samar in the role of the rabbit herd since the 1950s and 1960s with strong government support. Inner Mongolia began building sand control stations and implementing tree planting projects along the northern edge of Samar. Thanks to these efforts, cities in the region gradually became greener. This is an encouraging sign, as Inner Mongolia is one of the areas most severely affected by desertification. Local authorities have identified sand control as a top priority in the fight against desertification. They continuously implement the Free North Shelter Belt program and promote other environmental initiatives like tree planting and enforcing grazing bans. Livestock grazing reduces vegetation and increases the risk of desertification. In 2024, the region not only met but exceeded annual targets for desertification control and afforestation, achieving 113% and 148% of their respective goals. This means Inner Mongolia now has the largest forest area in the country, about 24 million hectares, and grasslands cover 45% of its land, the highest since 1990. The dusty, barren land has now transformed into a green sea with shrubs. Occasionally, one can see long, thin trails on the ground, perhaps footprints of deer. Overall, this is a breathtaking sight. But what do rabbits have to do with the development of Samar Kubushi? In fact, the development of Samar Kubushi is closely linked to rabbit farming, especially Rex rabbits. However, this doesn't mean people raise rabbits in Samar and wait for them to turn it into an oasis. The story is much more complex. The origin of the change. The story begins with a local entrepreneur who boldly invested money in buying willow saplings. He encouraged others to try planting this tree in Samark. Willow trees have excellent drought tolerance, high economic value, and thrive in Samark conditions. However, there's an issue to note. About 3 years after planting, willow trees require special care, otherwise their economic value will severely decline. For example, trees like this can no longer be used to make high-quality paper. And this is where rabbits come into play. Willow shoots are perfect food for Rex rabbits, and the willow stems after rabbits eat them can be used to make paper and plywood. For the Samark region, willow trees bring many benefits. Like any plant, they help protect soil from wind and stabilize sand. Willow trees have a well-developed root system that can extend over 100 meters. Even a single willow tree can firmly hold the sand around it. Local people raise rabbits in Samar, but these aren't the domestic rabbits we usually see. These are Rex rabbits, and their standout feature is their smooth fur, like mink hair. Like other rabbits raised in large numbers not as pets, they can be used as food. But Rex rabbits are mainly raised for their fur, which is more valuable than their meat. And for the anti-desertification campaign, these rabbits are perfect. Their reproduction rate is incredibly high, to the point that many Chinese sources mention it being 25 times that of other animals. The arid Samar climate is very suitable for this rabbit species. They feel extremely comfortable, which is why Rex rabbits raised in Samar Kubushi have exceptionally high-quality fur. The closed-loop cycle and the revival of Samar. China approaches the zero-waste issue comprehensively. Rabbits not only provide fur but also contribute in many other aspects. Rabbit meat is used as food, and rabbit manure becomes effective fertilizer for Samarkand's barren soil. Even rabbit byproducts are utilized to feed other animals like earthworms, creating a closed production chain that optimizes all resources. Planting willow trees is a key factor, but the support from rabbits is indispensable. Their rapid reproduction combined with planted willows forms a sustainable ecosystem. Rabbit manure produces biogas, a clean energy source and excellent nutrient for the soil. Thus, the barren land gradually transforms into fertile fields, ready for agricultural cultivation. Rabbits are also talented grass producers in the desert. They eat grass, digest everything except seeds, then excrete them onto the desert, hoping the seeds germinate and grow into lush green meadows that hold soil and prevent desertification. Thanks to the harmonious combination of willow planting, rabbit farming, and scientific farming methods, the Ecological desert has undergone a remarkable revival. That entrepreneur hired nearly 100 bulldozers to level the sand dunes, creating conditions for planting and farming. After over 10 years of persistent project implementation, this area has the journey of turning sand into gold. After leveling the gullies with bulldozers, an entrepreneur encouraged and supported local residents in raising rabbits. He persisted with this project for 10 years, and during that time, the area completely transformed. Of course, this change is not solely due to willows and rabbits. A large amount of money was invested in building new villages. For example, in 2013, over 3 billion yuan, equivalent to more than 400 million United States dollars, was spent. This attracted nearby farmers and herders to settle, making the desert area more vibrant. Gradually, the willow planting area exceeded 2 million hectares. Over 2,000 rabbit farms were established, and more than 3 million rabbits are sold annually. The average annual income of farmers can reach 50,000 to 70,000 yuan. Over 10,000 once poor farmers and herders have truly become wealthy. In 2017, reporters came here to interview locals and noted that the environment had greatly improved compared to before. The local government clearly recognizes the huge potential of developing the rabbit farming. They actively promote related sectors, and people's lives are increasingly prosperous, while the desert becomes greener. As of July 2017, the rabbit population in Dubner alone reached 4.5 million, and the industry's total output was 5.6 billion yuan, equivalent to 760 million United States dollars. It's no surprise that rabbit farming not only helps local farmers and herders escape poverty and become rich, but also attracts labor from elsewhere. The efficient rabbit farming model. An employee is introducing newborn rabbits at a standardized breeding center. Clearly, there are a large number of cages, and operations run like a well-oiled machine. There are many rabbits, and they have truly changed many people's lives. When farmers come here, all they need to do is invest 20,000 to 30,000 yuan to buy rabbit breeds and cages for them. That's it, nothing else is needed for farming. Other enterprises will support them, and each household's income can reach 50,000 to 80,000 yuan. And if it's a large-scale operation, it can even exceed 100,000 yuan, about 13,300 United States dollars. Decoding the desert miracle. People once buzzed about the story of China releasing rabbits into the desert and turning it into an oasis. Entirely fictional, but it. The main characters in this story, they. Australia also has deserts and many rabbits, but they're considered pests. The reason is that the approaches and goals of the two countries differ. In China, people raise rabbits to improve their lives while helping protect the environment. This model creates a closed-loop cycle where humans and nature both benefit. In Australia, rabbits were introduced and reproduce uncontrollably, causing negative impacts on the local ecosystem. They compete for food with native species, damage crops, and cause soil erosion. The key factor, it. Besides rabbits, China also uses many other methods to combat desertification, including planting trees, building protected structures, and developing clean energy. A typical example is the Zhenme power plant, covering 140 hectares, with over 196,000 photovoltaic panels forming the image of a galloping horse. This is the largest desert photovoltaic station and the largest image created from solar panels in the world. This plant not only supplies electricity for hundreds of thousands of people but also helps combat desertification and provides additional income. The solar panels also help reduce wind speed, creating conditions for plant growth. It can be seen that China has been and is making significant strides in the conquest of the desert. The harmonious combination of various measures, along with the active participation of the people, has yielded encouraging results. From rabbits to solar power, a perfect combination. Typically, it takes a decade to achieve similar effects, but here it only takes 4 years. By the end of November 2020, the Junda solar power plant had contributed to greening approximately 1,050 hectares of desert land. Rabbits also played a part in this success. At the plant, they live alongside other livestock such as sheep and geese. The photovoltaic panels use water when cleaned, and this water seeps into the sand. Because they provide shade, water evaporation is minimized, creating favorable conditions for grass to. However, grass growing too tall becomes a problem as it hinders the plant's operations. And the best solution for managing the grass is to use herbivorous animals. Therefore, staff have raised many sheep and rabbits to control weeds. So what do we ultimately gain? As of June 2024, China leads the world in operational solar power capacity with 386,000 megawatts. In 2023, the country's installed solar power capacity increased by an average of 39.99 megawatts per year. For comparison, the United States solar power capacity increased by an average of 8,137 megawatts. In fact, rabbits are not the first case of China using animals to solve problems. The duck army and unique biological methods. In 2020, when Pakistan faced a locust plague, China proposed sending a duck army to assist. Although this information was later denied, the idea of using ducks for pest control is not new and has long been applied by China. In 2000, in Xinjiang, China deployed 700,000 ducks and chickens to combat locust swarms. They had devastated over 9 million acres of crops and grassland. Research shows that ducks are more effective than chickens at eliminating locusts. A single duck can eat over 200 locusts per day, 3 times more than a chicken. Ducks are also easier to manage due to their tendency to live in flocks. Using ducks is a cost-effective and environmentally friendly biological solution compared to pesticides. This method has long been used by China, but its effectiveness is limited. For example, in 1953, Sichuan province used ducks to eliminate locusts as floods rendered other measures ineffective. Ducks eliminated 95 to 100% of locusts in some areas. However, managing ducks also requires effort. They are divided into small groups and carefully monitored. In 2014, chickens were used to combat locusts in Hebei province. And guinea fowl were also used in Inner Mongolia due to their fast running, good flying, and relentless locust-eating abilities. Starlings are also an option with their group hunting ability, consuming up to 180 locusts per day. However, ducks remain the most powerful weapon. It should be noted that not all types of ducks are suitable. Only egg-laying ducks are effective at eating locusts. Meat ducks are not suitable because they gain weight quickly and are not good at hunting. So why weren't ducks sent to Pakistan? Simply because ducks need water to survive, while the temperatures in Pakistan's desert regions are too high, making it impossible for them to survive. Ducks, Jack's cattle, and the ongoing battle against desertification. Why wasn't the duck army sent to Pakistan? The answer lies in the survival conditions of these animals. Ducks need water to live, while the desert regions in Pakistan have temperatures too high for them to survive. Meanwhile, in China, the Duo wetlands are at risk of disappearing. Data from the Sisal Desertification Monitoring Center shows that over 200 lakes in Duo had disappeared by 2009, and over 114,000 acres of grassland had turned into about 30% of the remaining grassland in Duo. Located at an altitude of 11,400 feet, the Chinese government is making every effort to preserve Duo. Over the past 7 years, they have mobilized 800 local herders to plant grass, helping to restore a significant area. They have also developed an effective grass planting method, combining grass seeds and fertilizer. Other measures such as protective forest belts, straw fences, and crop rotation farming are also being applied. However, these efforts are still insufficient to halt the process of desertification. The Chinese government continues to seek new solutions, including the use of animals. Lessons from failure and the return of Jack's cattle. Local authorities have made every effort to preserve the Duo land area. For example, over 7 years, they successfully guided 800 local herders to plant grass, helping to restore a significant area of land. Additionally, they developed a special grass planting method for the region. First, they create deep furrows in the soil. Then fill it with a mixture of grass seeds and fertilizer and cover them with soil. Furthermore, protective forest belts, straw fences, and livestock forage crop rotation were also implemented. It seemed that after these measures, the desertification process should have stopped, but in reality, it was still not enough. Therefore, the government decided to use animals again, this time to threaten Jack's cattle. So how can they help? Actually, it's very simple. Animals are released into designated areas, where they trample seeds into the ground. Studies in Ruo show that moderate livestock grazing accelerates the recovery of damaged grasslands. Interestingly, local herders had previously proposed a similar idea, but their opinions were ignored. Now, the government needs their support, despite having experts in advanced technology. Gee, what about the double-edged sword and staying strategy? In the animal world, each species has its own role in the ecosystem. However, there is a particular animal that is a double-edged sword in land issues, and that is the goat. Scientists from Oregon State University point out that large-scale grazing of goats and sheep in Mongolia has caused severe damage to vegetation. Research shows that about 80% of vegetation damage in this area is due to overgrazing. Since 1990, the number of livestock in Mongolia has doubled, reaching an astonishing 45 million, partly due to economic changes after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Rising unemployment has driven people back to traditional herding, leading to a rapid increase in goats. Meanwhile, in Mongolia, soil fertility is not very promising. The Gobi Desert in the south is continuously expanding, threatening the ecosystem and global climate. And goats, seemingly only worsening the situation, actually play a crucial role in the natural cycle. When grazing on grasslands, goats naturally till the soil with their hooves while fertilizing the land, promoting plant growth and maintaining nutrient exchange between flora and fauna. Thus, goats both destroy grasslands and stimulate their growth. The solution here is simple. Establish communication with herders and adjust grazing times. In this way, balance will be achieved. Not only China, but Spain is also striving to conserve land. Andalusia, the world's largest olive oil producing region, is facing the risk of desertification. By 2030, Spain will focus on enhancing ecosystems and wildlife diversity in the driest areas, including Andalusia. Measures include boosting agricultural activity, adjusting grassland-based livestock grazing, and managing water resource use. Local authorities, scientists, farmers, and stakeholders will participate in this process. Spain will also develop a desertification atlas and establish a national council to coordinate land restoration. However, experts warn that this plan will take a long time. All countries are making efforts to save arid land through various methods. If you find what China is doing interesting, don't forget to click the subscribe button to the Beyond the Veil 0707 channel. Thank you for watching the entire video, and see you next time.